Hello and welcome to It's Only Electric. Behind me I have the Mercedes EQS 450 Plus. This is Mercedes' most luxurious sedan, measures 5.2 meters in length and weighs 2.4 tons. The 450 Plus is the version that gives you the longest range. So if you're looking for a car, a luxury sedan with a long range, this may be the version for you. Driving on rear wheels only, 360 horsepower and 568 newton meters of torque. It actually does 0 to 100 in 6.1 seconds. And by the way, I'm actually doing another video right after this where I test the 0 to 100 time and also the range and noise for this specific car. So stay tuned for that one. And as I said, driving on the rear wheels only, 20-inch wheels. This is not the standard wheels that you get on a 450 Plus. As standard, it comes with 19-inch wheels. So this is actually upped 1 inch and a special design and covered holes between the aluminum spokes. So plastic covers with Mercedes silver stars all over it. I think it's a clever design that gives you a bit of a more range and also a special look. You really can tell by looking at the car that this is an electric vehicle. So Mercedes has gone the whole way with it. The EQS comes with rear axle steering as an extra. This specific car has a 4.5 degrees rear axle steering, which makes the car feel shorter than it actually is, and the turning radius is only 11.9 meters. That's really good for such a long car. You can extra equip it with 10 degrees. That will make the car even more nimble. Mercedes has really gone all the way when it comes to electric vehicles. The EQS and the EQE is both built on fully electric platforms. And you can actually tell that by looking at the shape of the car. If you look at the roofline, the sloping roofline, the boot lid, all the rounded corners, they have worked hard on lowering the air resistance. So the drag coefficient is actually as low as 0.2. That's really low, and that will help to decrease the consumption and increase the range. So whilst talking about range, this car has 740 kilometers of VLTP range, but that's with the 19-inch wheels. So this one with glass roof and 20-inch wheels has 708 kilometers, so still over 700 kilometers. I'm testing the range in my next video, so let's see if I can pass the 700 kilometers line. The great range comes thanks to a really big battery pack. So the battery pack on the 450 Plus is the big battery pack, so 120 kilowatt hours of gross capacity and 108.4 kilowatt hours of net capacity. That's a beast. So a big battery pack also needs some quick charging. So DC charging, fast charging, has a top speed of 200 kilowatts. Not best in class, but still a decent figure. When it comes to home charging, it actually has 22 kilowatts, and that's high. So if you have a powerful charger at home that can deliver that power to the battery pack, you will be able to fill the battery in 5 hours. So the EQS is not only a luxury sedan, it's also a practical sedan. Powered liftgate, of course, comes as no surprise. A fairly big boot capacity of 620 liters, a really practical cargo cover that operates and are attached to the lid, so don't need to care about that. Some extra storage compartment underneath here where you can store a lot of cables, and more than that, because it's a big compartment, foldable seat split in 3 different parts, 40, 20, 40. No frunk, unfortunately, but possible to add a tow hitch. A really dirty tow hitch, but still. So now it's time to continue and look at the interior of the EQS. But before we do that, what do you think about the exterior? Do you like the exterior of Mercedes' new sedans and SUVs, or do you prefer the current ICE designs of Mercedes cars? Let me know in the comments below and let us have a discussion. So let's have a look at the back seat. I'm now sitting behind myself meaning that the front seat, the driver's seat, is adjusted after my liking and my driving position. The front seat is adjusted to the lowest position, but my feet still fits under the front seat. That's good. And my knees does not touch the backrest. That's good. So plenty of leg room. In this trim, it's not possible to adjust the backrest, so the sitting position is a bit too straight for me. I would have preferred a little bit more backward leaning position, but still comfortable seats, perfect to travel 2 adults in this back seat. You will have a great time. A lot of lighting here in the back, so 2 lights for each person, and you can turn on and off the whole section with 1 button, or individually control your side of the lights. Glass roof divided into 2 parts. The first part is possible to open. This part is not possible to open, but you have a curtain so you can close it if it gets too light or too sunny. This doesn't give me the feeling of a S-Class. It's more towards a E-Class, if I can compare it to the traditional ICE cars from Mercedes, but still a good back seat, but not S-Class class. It's time to look at the front seat. Let's start with the mid console here. So inside the mid console you have 2 cup holders. That's removable. You have a QI charger stuck into the front, 2 USB-C ports, and in the mid compartment you have pretty good storage, 2 USB-C ports and another QI charger. So 2 QI chargers, 4 USB-C ports. You have a floating mid console. So underneath here you have some extra storage with a strap, so you can strap your phone here whilst charging, because you have 2 more charge ports, USB-C ports at the front here. So 6 USB-C ports plus 2 USB-C ports at the back. So in total, plenty of USB-C ports. You have 8 USB-C ports, and thank God that Mercedes goes all in on USB-C. So not even 1 USB port, and I'm really glad to see that. Another storage is the glove box. Fairly traditional glove box hidden underneath, nothing strange. So it's equipped with the standard screens. In the middle, a 12.8 inch screen, instrument cluster of 12.3 inch. So decent size screens, both of them actually. And I don't think you need any more screen area than this. You can equip it with the hyper screen, and that's actually 56 inch. Is not 56 for real, it's 3 different screens, but I call it 56. But I really recommend going for this setup instead. I don't think it's worth the extra money, because this gives you more than enough screen space for visualizing everything you need. Burmeister 3D surround sound system, a really good system, especially for more classical leaning music with really clear and good mids and highs. The bass is not that heavy, so it's not adjusted after heavy bass music, but crisp and clear sound. Alcantara finish on a lot of places, so on top of the armrest, on top of the dashboard, going all the way through the top of the doors with some nice stitching. A lot of leather inlays around the speakers, on top of the doors. So good quality when it comes to the interior materials. This one could have been something else, but it's of course depending on what you choose, but it's a very big area and this needs to look nice. It's a bit too wobbly and too much plastic for me. They could have gone for something nicer, at least in this setup. These seats are equipped with heating, cooling and massage. I really like the massage functionality. I have been using it all the time. Gives me great energy and comfort whilst driving. Could be a bit more intense though, but still really good. Headrest adjustable in 2 ways, X-axis and Y-axis, and on top of that a really comfortable plush pillow you can rest your head at. One of the best headrests I have ever tried. Really like it. Otherwise, good support in the seats. I miss bolsters on the seating position. Side bolster support could have been a bit higher and a bit more narrow to give you more support. What you have though is great bolster support on your backrest. You can adjust the bolster support on the screen in 10 different levels, where 0 is the widest level and 10 is the most narrow level. Gives you really good support. You also have digital or electronic lumbar support, lumbar adjustment, where you have a X and Y matrix grid where you can adjust the position of the lumbar. You can't see it by just looking at the seat, but it has built-in thigh support. So we can extend the seating part to give you more support for your thighs. So all in all, really good seats. Could have been a bit more supportive on the sides, on the seating position. That's enough of talking about the interior. I think it's time to talk about the driving experience and the driving dynamics. Let's drive and try the recuperation levels, the different drive modes, the comfort, the suspension, the sound level, the acceleration. Let's go. Okay, let's start looking at the different drive modes. There's 4 different drive modes: Eco, Comfort, Sport, and Individual. So in Individual, you can set the different characteristics manually. That means that you can set the driving, for instance, and choose between Eco, Comfort, and Sport. You can adjust the suspension, Comfort or Sport. Steering, same thing. ESP, Comfort or Sport. And sound. And sound is actually the digital sound profile. Currently, I don't use any sound at all. I don't need or like artificial sounds in electric vehicles. I don't think it's necessary, so I always drive them without. I like the sound of the electric motor at the back. That's more than enough for me. But let's start testing comfort mode and see how it feels. Now everything is set to comfort. The suspension is immediately a bit softer. Steering is very soft, easy to make turns. Kind of a floaty suspension, driving on the most comfortable level. And a very silent drive. This is a car that you can travel long trips in without getting tired of the noise level or the comfort in the suspension. Not bumpy at all, just floats through, but in a good way. It's a really good suspension. It doesn't have that much of a side roll, which is good. So it's soft in the right way. When it comes to acceleration, it's a bit more settled and not that aggressive as in sports mode. So I will turn it over to sports mode to try to feel the difference. Sports mode is active. Don't feel any immediate difference, but the accelerator is a lot more aggressive. Goes quicker, a lot quicker up to full acceleration. A bit more responsive, but it doesn't throw you into the seat. I mean, it's a powerful car, 360 horsepower, but it's not that powerful. So 0 to 100 in 6.1 seconds, more than you need. It's plenty of horsepower. So when you toggle between the drive modes, you feel that it changes something in the accelerator. It vibrates. So something is adjusted. Let's put it back into sport and see. I think it's a bit stiffer, the suspension in sports mode, than in comfort, but still more towards the comfortable side than a sporty side. So doesn't matter how you set it, it's still a very comfortable suspension. Let's try different regen modes. There is 2 pedals behind the steering wheel, plus to the right, minus to the left. In this case, minus means more regen, more recuperation, plus means less recuperation. 3 different modes. Now I'm actually driving on normal recuperation, and that's not aggressive at all. It doesn't come to a full stop. It's not much recuperation on normal. If you put it into no recuperation by pushing the right pedal, it's like coasting, no regen at all. So if you want to coast down a slope, this is a good setting. Let's try maximum recuperation and see if it comes to a full stop. This is more what I'm used to. Yes, it's a really big difference. I mean, setting it to the most left version, called increased recuperation, that's the maximum level of recuperation. That's a lot more aggressive than the other settings. And this will come to a full stop. Yes, it does. So full recuperation will stop the car completely. So it's kind of a one pedal driving, if you like that. So when driving it on Eco, the dry mode Eco, feels good to drive it on Eco. Doesn't feel that constraint. Doesn't feel like it's holding your back. But if you drive it in higher speeds, on highways or on autobahns, you will notice the Eco mode, because the accelerator actually hits kind of a threshold or kind of a semi-stop when it comes to 50%. So when you press the pedal 50% down, there is like a soft stop at that position. So we really need to force it to pass 50%. I think that's a good way of implementing it, to save some energy, not to use the whole power in the rear motor. But it can get a bit frustrating on motorways in higher speeds. But I mean, that's the point with a dry mode called Eco. You shouldn't waste too much energy, and that's the whole purpose. It's time to drive this car on gravel and see how the suspension behaves and how the noise level acts. Let's put it into comfort and try some gravel roads. And as I mentioned earlier, it is a silent car, double glazed windows all around, so on all 4 positions. Even the small glass parts are double glazed, acoustic glass. So a silent cabin on the EQS. Doesn't feel as silent as the Neo ET7 actually, but one of the more silent cars I have tried. And I will do a measurement of the cabin noise, but that's another video. Let's see if we can find any potholes or uneven surfaces. Here we have some. Let's see. It just floats over them. Very silent, very sophisticated suspension. And this is one of the parts that's Mercedes ball game. They know how to do good suspensions. And the air suspension in this car is really great. So my favorite setting is to drive it on sports mode, of course. Sometimes I drive it in the individual mode. Then I set the motor to Eco to save some energy, but still keep the suspension and steering wheel to sport. Then I get a little bit more of a tight steering and driving experience, but still save some energy. So Eco on motor and sport on steering and suspension. That's my recommended setting, or go sport all the way. So now we have looked at the exterior, the specifications, the interior, and some driving dynamics. Let's talk about the price, at least briefly. This specific car costs 1.5 million Swedish crowns, or 130,000 euros for this specification. The starting price of the EQS 450 Plus is 110,000 euros or 1.3 million Swedish crowns. It's an expensive car, and this is just the starting price. You have the EQS 580, you have the AMG version, so it will get a lot more expensive if you look at the other versions and trim levels. So this is where it starts. A high price, but I mean, Mercedes S-Class cars has always been expensive compared to more cheaper alternatives, and it is what it is. But I think Mercedes will have a hard time being the class leader when it comes to luxury sedans. They have some stiff competition now lately, for instance, from NIO, also from BMW 7 Series i7. Two really good cars. The NIO comes a lot cheaper. You don't have the same range, but you have similar comfort, similar performance, etc., and similar equipment. But the best part of the EQS, at least of this version, is the range. I mean, over 700 kilometers of range, that's rare. That's hard to find. So if you're looking for a car with great comfort, good quality, and great range, this may be a perfect car for you. I think that's it for now. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And as I always say, stay electric. Thank you for watching. Speak to you soon.
Your route is being calculated. Please follow the road for 700 meters.